Why? Why do I do this? Why do I do this to myself? Because here's the thing. I was super, oh my God. What is my hair doing? Oh my God. Oh God. Okay, so here's the thing. I was super ready to we're going to do this video and we're just going to look at the insides and feel feelings and shit. It's going to be great. And we'll get through it and have the double observer video versus the double deciding video. And it'll be very important and blah, blah, blah. And as I started to go down the rabbit hole of what I wanted to talk about, it just brought up some shit. So we're going to be talking about this, but you will get to see firsthand what demon state, what a demon state looks like from a single observer who has trouble double observing. And so as I feel compelled to mention this as sort of the beginning of all these kinds of videos, I'm in a weird spot. Because I'm a glass lizard, because my SE at the bottom of my function stack as an INTJ is double activated, it looks like I'm double observing. That is not what is happening fucking at all. That is not what is happening at all. And we're going to get into it. I should probably do the intro. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Full Blast. I am your host, Raja Burrows. And today, oh boy, there we go. Backwards hat's better for this. So today we're talking about why you need to learn how to fucking double observe and why it is so important and why I have so much respect for the EJs and the IPs in my life, because their ability. So from my perspective, right? So I'm lead NI. It looks to me like they can roll with the chaos better than I can. But that's not the whole story. That's not the whole story. That is closer to the story for someone like Dave. So Dave, he's much, much closer to your typical INTJ kind of guy. And in fact, he's kind of like one of, if not the purest examples of a double decider. Because he has, if you have single activated savior in the middle and double activated demon in the middle, that's as balanced as you can get. He really is pure 50-50 in the middle, more than most, right? I think of another somebody please don't ask me why this person of all people came up, but just go with me on this. So somebody so there's two people I can think of who fit this category as well. Somebody so Michael Chiklis, right? So he is an ESFP, but he's a lead play. So he's got, again, double masculine. Have you fucking seen his? Of course he's double masculine. So he's SETE, so he's lead play, but he's play, consume, sleep. So he's single activated savior on the TE, double activated demon on the FI. They're both in the middle, or as balanced as you get. Jessica Chastain, when we're talking about double observing, so she's an ENTJ, but so she's TESE play first, but she's play, blast, sleep. So again, single activated savior SE, double activated demon NI, both in the middle, as balanced as you can get. So for someone like Dave, it can be really, really useful to look at the EJs and the IPs and be like, wow, you are super good at rolling with the chaos without freaking out about the control stuff. Sure. But for me, that's, if you watch me in my day-to-day life, I roll with the chaos a lot. I do so begrudgingly. I don't like it. It's very draining. But the concept of rolling with the chaos and dancing in the rain is not something that is totally anathema to me. It's not something that's even that uncomfortable to me. But where my double observing struggles come, and where I'm like, nope, at the end, like, I don't care how fucking cranked up you are, at the end of the day, like, you really are more of a single observer than a double observer. Well, I'm talking to myself. It's because I am thrilled and delighted to dance in the rain once the rules are established. If the rules are not there, I cannot play in the rain. Can't do it because I'm like, where are the boundaries? Like, my IJ brain needs to know where the boundaries are in order to be able to enjoy playing. So, for instance, this is one of my favorite clips, just period, of all time. And it was one of the first clips where I was like, holy shit, I am doing that all day, every day. Again, not in necessarily a judgmental way, but I'm like, oh yes, that is 100% how my brain works, period. And it is a very, from what I can tell, it is a very IJ thing. And it's also, in this specific case, lead and I. There's a clip of Keegan-Michael Key. He's talking about improv, and he's talking like, again, he's just layering like analogy up on top of analogy and going really deep into a particular analogy. And in this case, he's talking about playing basketball is like improv, is like sketch writing. And again, I've brought this up on this channel before, but it's my favorite thing to talk about. And it just fits in this particular situation and in lots of situations. So there's the super, super famous substitute teacher sketch. Again, to this day, I think it is the best piece of sketch comedy that's ever been written. Like, it is as far as just like bulletproof sketch comedy, you cannot do better than that sketch. You just can't. You cannot do better than that sketch, and I will die on this hill. And the premise is really simple. Guy comes in, I'm Mr. Garvey. I used to work in the inner city for 20 years, and I don't take no guff. So you're like, okay, we're establishing who this character is. He's like, let's take roll call. And he says, D nice. Look around. There's a room full of white kids. You're like, I don't know the rules yet. Again, this is Keegan-Michael Key talking about this. I probably should have said that first. This is Keegan-Michael Key talking about the substitute teacher sketch. And he's like, your brain, like, you're trying to process it. You're trying to process it. Like, he said, D nice, room full of white kids. Girl raises her hand. You mean Denise? And you're like, that's funny. And it's funny because we know the rules. When you're just walking, like, out of, like, if you had this guy, he comes in and he's like, let's take roll call, D nice, and a black girl raises her hand and says, yeah, I'm here, or something like that, right? Then that would not be funny. That's just, okay, yes, that's how these two people talk. There's no joke here. That's nothing there. But when you get this, like, valley girl, white girl being like, do you mean Denise? That's fucking funny. And it's funny because we know the rules. Okay. The way that he ends this clip of him talking about, like, the rules of comedy, right? The rules of sketch writing, improv, whatever, is he's talking about basketball. He's like, when I'm playing a game of basketball, everybody walks in to the basketball game. We all know the rules. The lines are very clearly set. They are observable. We know, like, was it 94 feet? Goes like this. If the ball goes out of bounds, you have to give it, then you have to give it to the other team. If you shoot from this line, it's worth 3 points, but anywhere else, it's worth 2 points. If you get a free, right? We all know the rules. And once we know the rules, says the IJ, all we have to do is play basketball for 3 minutes. And it's the most fun thing in the world for an I. It's why, you know, when we talk about like IJs can be the most chaotic, that comes in two flavors, right? There certainly comes the demon swing of like, you know what? Fuck all the rules, party on, and then we just fucking burn shit down, right? That's one flavor of it. But there's a much more benign flavor of it, which is the super chaotic IJ who knows exactly where the edges of the sandbox are. And if you put an IJ in a situation where it's like, you have to, like, these are the boundaries. You cannot go outside. You cannot go west of here, east of there, south of here, north of there. This is your box. But within this box, fucking go nuts. You can do anything you want inside this box. Holy shit. We lose our fucking minds. We're like, oh my God. I can not only get to play and have fun and make a mess and cause chaos, but I also know animalistically that I'm safe and that me doing this in this box has, like, the box has rules and there's parameters. It's one of the reasons that Dave and I and a lot of IJs I've talked to love the like open world RPG games, right? Especially ones that are like, you know, like, so Dave likes Grand Theft Auto. I really like Elder Scrolls Online and all the Skyrim games, right? Like stuff like that. It's why I like Hades so much. It's not an RPG in the same way, but it is very much a like hack and slash, cause chaos, break, just run amok within these very, very, very clear parameters. Because we'll get to the EP stuff in a second, but I want to give you an idea of what single observing really, really looks like, so that you can see how unhelpful it is in, like, at the very least 40% of situations. Because what the IJ is terrified of breaking shit. Whether it's, you know, the sleep side, it's worried about breaking shit for, you know, my own shit breaking. You know, if it's blasting, it's like, I don't want to break your shit, right? Order, structure, whatever, right? We like knowing that we can have fun and not endanger anything. There was a guy I used to work with, and I you know, brought him up before, and he was Savior. He was, I think, so I'm not totally sure what his full type was. I know that he is Sleep Blast, Savior ST, Demon NT. I think he was he was either like an ISFJ or an INTP, like a lead sleep kind of guy, but like Sleep Blast, phenomenal communicator. But he had the very strong double activated Savior OI, which makes him very, very IJ-ish. And I was the only one who could fucking talk to the guy because I was the only person who was like, oh yeah, no, I get you're not an idiot. It's not that you can't think outside the box. Like, you're perfectly capable of doing that and solving puzzles and problems. But in terms of what's sustainable for you, you need to know what your lane is. Like, you need to know what you are responsible for. And then you can be like, oh, great. If the problem is outside of my parameters by more than, you know, this much on either side, then it is not my responsibility. Right? And I was like, bro, I feel that. But everybody else in the company was like, well, but if you see the problem, why don't you just solve the problem? And you're like, because I'm a fucking IJ and I need my rules. I need the parameters. Okay, so let's go back to dancing in the rain. I love to dance in the rain. I love dancing in the rain. Dancing in the rain is my favorite thing to do. But I need to know what the rules of rain dancing are first. I can't just be like, oh, it's rain, whatever. We'll make up rules in the moment. And this is where the EPs can get fucked up. Because what the EPs will do, and again, Shannon has said this, I have observed this many, many times. The EPs will say, I do planning. I'm a great planner. I'm a fantastic planner. That is very likely absolutely true. But being good at planning doesn't make you an IJ because it matters when you animalistically want to do the planning, like to do the planning. Because the EPs will have, like, the EPs have to learn over time. They have to discover that, wait a minute, if I do EP stuff, if I want to do the Dancing in the Rain, I have to, on the front end, do some sort of organizing, structure, planning so that I can do that, right? Now, for me and IJ, I'm like, yeah, obviously, set the plan and then go have fun. I don't understand why this is a question. But if you talk to an EP, most likely they're going to be like, oh my God, I was a fucking mess. And then I realized I just have to do a little bit of planning and I am totally fine. Right? That is much more like growth mindset EP. A less growth minded EP would say something like, I plan in the moment. I make the rules up as I go because everything's always changing. You can't rely on anything. You just have to do the best that you can with what you got in the moment and make up the rules like that. And that fucks them. Like, eventually that mentality is going to come crashing down. Like, it just is. Much in the same way, right? Again, on the flip side, on the IJ side of things, it's very easy for us to forget to dance in the rain. We love to do it. We love doing it. But it's very, very difficult for us to be like, okay, the goal is dance in the rain. The goal is do the demons. Okay, great. I'm super into doing it. So I need to set up, get a couple. I just need to get some shit taken care of, and then I can go play. Great. Love it. Fantastic. But it's so easy, especially for an IJ, to be like, okay, I'm planning to dance in the rain. So let's have a kickoff meeting to plan the planning session so that when we get into the planning session, we can plan the thing efficiently. And you're like, wait, no. Now you've gone too far. You don't need a planning meeting for the planning meeting. You don't need to plan the planning, right? And that's sort of the biggest thing that I realized let me put it this way. That is often my impulse. It is often my impulse. Fortunately, life just doesn't let me go too far. And I'm very, very grateful for that. Partially because I'm a grown-ass man, partially because I'm a glass lizard, and my double-activated masculine SE is like, no, stop. You don't have fucking time for this. There's chaos coming that you got to fucking deal with. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Fair enough. So I'm very, very lucky. But my impulse is to be like, okay, let me script this out. You know what? We're going to have a planning meeting, next week when all the people come in. So let's have a pre-planning meeting so that we can do the planning meeting. And actually, before we have the pre-planning meeting, let me shoot you a text and just like bounce some things off of you before we get to the pre-planning meeting, just to make sure that pre-planning meeting goes well. No. And I caught myself almost doing it a couple of times. So I'm taking this stand-up class. Starts next week. Could not be more excited about it. It's going to be the greatest fucking thing I've ever done. I love it. I just I'm so excited about doing it. That I'm like, it's just going to be good because I want it to be good. Right. And again, it's the kind of thing where I can put in enough work. It's very much like if I just put the work in on my own during the week, I'm going to get a lot out of this class. Just like writing stuff and refining stuff and going deeper and deeper and deeper and thinking and like, that's a less interesting question. What's a more interesting question? What's more interesting? Right? I can do all that work and I'm super excited. But things are a little dicey in Los Angeles right now with the pandemic. And there were so many times over the break that I wanted to be like, hey, so what's the plan for the thing? If this happens, then what if we do this? And if it's still happening, I'm still in. Also, what's the parking situation? Also, what's this and what's that? And like, do we all have, like, are we all on the same page with this plan, with what we all have to do, et cetera, et cetera? And I had to stop myself like 4 times over the past 3 or so weeks because I was like, Raja, it doesn't matter. Like, you're fine. Because here's what's going to happen. There's no version of this where you get fucked. There's no version where you get fucked. That doesn't happen. That simply isn't a scenario. It just isn't. Because let's run through these scenarios. Let's say the class gets canceled, like the in-person version, right? And it moves to online. Oh, fucking well, you want to do it enough anyway. You're gonna do the online version. You don't need to tell the person running the thing that you're willing to do this contingency plan that doesn't even exist in reality. Great. So cross that off the list. If the institution takes your money and drops off the face of the planet, that's so much worse for the person running the class. Like, I am not the only person in the class. There are 10 people in this class. That is lots of dollars that's going into this class that's being run. Like, no, what? Trust me. If this person is in a position to fuck people over, first off, you have receipts. Like, you have a very detailed, like, this is what I paid for it. These are the dates. These are the parameters. Like, you did that already. In fact, when you Venmo'd this woman, you put in the Venmo payment all of the relevant details of the payment, so that if something happens, you already have the paper trail. You're good. My friend, do not even trip. You're good. And especially telling the person all of this doesn't change anything. The class either will happen or won't happen, whether or not you plan for these contingencies. And again, let me be clear. The reason I can get away with not worrying about it or continuing to worry about it is because I already did that. I already did my due diligence at the beginning, working through all the scenarios of being like, okay, I'm signing up for this. And then if this changes, then that'll do. Okay, am I good with the 4 most likely outcomes of this? Great, cool. Sign me up. And now I just fucking forget about it. That's it. That's it. And especially, again, my impulse, which I have not acted on, but I can definitely feel it, is to be like, hey, is there anything I need to do to prepare for the first? No. Goddamn. No, you do not. Calm the fuck down. It's fine. You're a competent, capable human, Raja. You literally just need to show up with a notebook and a pen and a willingness to talk about shit. I'm pretty sure we can handle that. you don't need to, this is not that serious. This is class number 1 of stand-up 101. You are fine. I promise you're fine. Second off, this is a fantastic opportunity to learn how to deal with unforeseen bullshit in the moment. Right? So, that's just a skill worth building if you're a single observer IJ, right? And on the flip side, if you're an EP, doing more of the IJ thing up front, that's going to help you so much. And again, because you're an EP and because you are so adept at dealing with shit as it comes up, right? So like you're dealing with something in the moment, and you're like, well, let's just see what's coming and let's just like deal with all these balls, flying at me. Yeah, sure. All right, we'll get this one, and then isn't this fun? This is exciting and whatever. It certainly would behoove you to not always rely on that. Because, for instance, so again, flipping all of this around, there's a version of this class, and there were actually a couple of classes that I looked at that I was like, nope, absolutely not. Just because I went to their website and I was like, I don't trust that there's enough organization happening here. Like, I don't know that I'm going to get my money's worth here. You know what? I think I'm going to look for a different place, because again, just sort of doing a little bit of work to mentally run through some scenarios about, is this a good fit? Will this pay off in the next 3 to 6 months? Is this going to be worth it? Right. Again, doing a little bit of that planning for the future is really, really important for an EP, because it's just a nice gut check, right? It's just a nice gut check. So what does all this have to do with double observing specifically? We've talked about like how to single observe better, but what is double observing really about? So what double observing is really about, it's just about feeling comfortable not doing one of your observers only once, right? So for me as a double decider, right? It's super easy for me to go back and forth when it comes to people. So for instance, I can, one of the big, so I think about, there's a person who, former coworker, totally screwed me and tried to get me fired. This was 4 or 5 years ago. I don't mean like, oh, well, I'm the sales rep and I'm going to subtly give you the less good leads, and then and then when you don't close, again, I'm using sales term. This is for tutoring. So it's like, I'm going to give you these students with a much lower floor and lower ceiling. And then I'm going to, on the back end, be like, this look, he's just not getting these scores up. I mean, look at all of his scores. They're all students, they've only moved like 4 or 5 points. But what about this other person who, all of her students are in the 97th percentile? Obviously, she's better. Okay, well, let's actually look at that and be like, yeah, we knew going in, he put 4 red flag progress notes for the first 4 times and you ignored it. And he asked for a rematch. And this other person, she's a straight A student. This other student is a straight A student who is vomiting on the day of the practice test. So of course she's not going to do her, like, what? Anyway, person totally torched me, totally tried to fuck me. And she came up on a friend of a friend's Facebook page. And I was so tempted to reach out to her because I was like, you know what? She's probably changed. I've changed a lot. She's changed a lot. We were both in a very toxic environment. if the opportunity ever presented itself for us to like have a conversation again, I would be the first person in line. Like, I'd be like, hell yeah, I would love to catch up with you and just like apologize for my part of how everything went down and just like let her know that I think she's a really wonderful person deep down, and that from my perspective, we were both just in a really impossible situation, right? That's double deciding. That's not right. Whereas, again, more often than not, a double observer, double observer, single decider is a lot more likely to be like, no, you know what? That person fucked me, so fuck them forever. Right? And it's that feeling of forever, which is where the single whatever you are, that's where you get fucked up. Where it's this feeling of, well, I have to do whatever I'm doing forever. Right? And so for me, the IJ, it's this feeling of I have to forever be cleaning up messes. I have to always be organizing. I have to always be setting the rules. I have to always like babysit other people and make sure they're doing the rules correctly. And then that causes this big demon void of like, when can I just fucking have fun? Like, when can I just like not worry about the rules and trust that the rules are happening and being taken care of? Like, when am I allowed to do that? Right? Never. Again, is the default wiring-y type feeling, right? On the EP side, it's I just want to, I have to constantly, be moving from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, and I'm not allowed to settle down. I'm not allowed to have stability because I have to just keep moving on to the next thing. There's a wide world out there. There's a great song by Lyle Lovett. First off, if you don't know who Lyle Lovett is, you should know who Lyle Lovett is. He's a Texan Americana country folk blues singer-songwriter guy. Brilliant songwriter. He and his buddy Robert Earl Keen, just two of my absolute favorite songwriters. But Lyle has a song called "Walk Through the Bottomland," and it's a song about there was a New Jersey, the woman from New Jersey, and she meets a rodeo cowboy, and and it doesn't work out because he's a drifter. God, I forgot how fucking good this song. This song is beautiful. Anyway, these are the lyrics, right? New Jersey lady, she loved him so true. Another love she never had. But cowboys are lonesome and cowboys are blue, and they make the ladies so sad. New Jersey lady knew he loved her too, and she tried to hold on. But the rodeo life was the life that he knew. He had to keep drifting along. Now, there's an element of that is very, again, just could be IP, could be EP, lead consume on the part of the cowboy guy. God, this song is amazing. Oh, fucking Lyle Lovett. Why you got to do me in the feels like that, Lyle? Why? Why are you the way that you are? But I think about that often, and I think about that in the context of like being an EP. And it's this feeling of I have to keep moving. If I don't keep, going on to the next thing, and if I don't have this constant stream of novelty in my life, I'll just die. Like that's what I got to do. And there's a real sadness there, because there's that little voice inside of the EP that's just like, I just want to settle down. I just want to know that I can be safe and that I can trust things that if I start to build something, it won't immediately collapse. And that's, when I think about, my struggles as an IJ and triangulating that with the struggles of the EP, you know, it's tricky. It's tricky because, for me as an IJ, where I get screwed up with the single observing is, my fear. Again, with the observers, it's all about fear. It's less about pain, and it really is more about fear. So my fear is I'm working on this thing, and I'm building this thing, and I'm doing this thing. And my fear as an IJ is that some chaos is going to come in and fuck it all up, which, again, here's where I have a choice. I can either look at the chaos, lean into the chaos, deal with the chaos, or be like, you know what? I'm just going to build this little thing even stronger so it's truly impenetrable and can withstand anything. And you're like, okay, but now you're not building it's not big enough. You're not growing it. It's just going deeper and becoming more entrenched. And it doesn't have to be like that. Like, you can build it out a little bit and deal with a little bit of chaos and make the building have a little sway in it. You're good, right? So that's the big IJ single observer fear. And on the EP side, it's the opposite fear. It's like, as soon as I start building something, what if something better comes along, right? How can I possibly commit to this plan because something better could come along, right? A better opportunity, a better possibility. I could have a better idea, a better plan, something better is out there in the future. And if I stick to this thing right now, I could be leaving a lot of money on the table. And again, so it's one of the reasons why, I'm terrible at negotiating, especially, oh my God, don't ever let me haggle with an EP, because I'm looking to lock down the deal as quickly as possible, and they're looking to lock down the deal as late as possible to make sure that they're getting the best deal, the best, value, the best whatever. And there's a real tension there. And I'm like, it's really, really bad. And I don't like it. It makes me feel very uncomfortable. But again, for the EP, they can, again, once they get to their late 20s, early 30s, they're like, oh shit. I am starting to see things repeating, and I think the patterns are repeating. And again, that's where they have the choice to be like, okay, the pattern is repeating. Let me just stick with this thing for a minute, and trust that running to the next thing, it doesn't get that much better than this, in terms of just raw quality. It doesn't get better than this. Right? So let me invest in this and build up this thing, this job, this relationship, this plan, this apartment, this city, this whatever. Let me hunker down and trust that it will eventually get better and be better by virtue of the work that I'm putting into it. Right? And that's the big EP struggle. And so where the EJs and the IPs, where I really admire them, is in their ability to double observe, because they don't go all in on one or the other. They are very comfortable being like, you know what? Yeah. Again, I'm just going to use sort of the archetypal IP, for instance, right? You got the OI and the OE in the middle. They're doing, a little bit of whatever. And, so the IP will be like, you know what? I'm going to move to Los Angeles. And I'm going to do the LA thing for as long as it suits me. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to find the next place and find the next city. It'll happen organic, whether I'm here 1 year or 3 years or 10 years, it'll just happen. I trust myself enough to know that when it's time to move on, it's time to move on, and it's not a big deal, right? And on the EJ side, it'll be much more about like where the people are, and where the like. Again, I somebody I know very well. They got married very young. They got married right out of college, and basically just like followed around their partner from city to city because they were both in academia and they were both able to like kind of make the kind of plan together, but ultimately they were like again, her more so, again, major EJ issues, but being able to be like, listen, I just want to be where this other person is. I don't really care wherever that other person is. Like, that's just obviously what I'm going to do because my life and my value is based on my connection to and alignment with that person, regardless of what I want. Again, this is where again the single deciders can get real fucked up. But as far as the like, oh yeah, I guess we'll live here for a few years and then there for a few years, and listen, wherever you get a job, like I can do my work anywhere. I can find a job doing whatever this person does. Again, I don't want to blow up this person's spot too much and give too many details. But they were like, yeah, listen, I can do whatever, kind of wherever. It's not a big deal. I can find work. What really matters is the validation of this other person, right? And then when that did not pan out, shocker that it didn't pan out, but when it didn't pan out, it was because, this is not a good relationship for me. This other person, this is the person I need to align myself with. And then me in the background, I'm like, what about being single? What about just doing you, boo, for like a minute? What about, or just try, what? Oh my God, no. But, so again, as much as I may criticize this person for, being too much on the single decider, I very much admire them for their ability to, roll with the chaos and just live wherever they're living, right? And not just roll with the chaos. Again, for me as an IJ, it's roll with the chaos, but it's willing to be like, yeah, we'll live here for as long as serves us, and then we'll leave when it stops serving us. And they don't seem super, super scared of hunkering down for too long or not long enough. And that's really the why I'm like, why you need to learn how to double observe is because that's where the IJs and the EPs will get fucked up. Because the IJs, when we commit to something in our brain, we're committing to it for forever, whether or not, again, because we're so good at going back and forth with the people, is we're like, no, we made a commitment, whatever, like we are sticking to this fucking plan. And there are lots of times when so in 2012 I thought about leaving New York City. In 2015 I thought about leaving New York City. In 2016 I really thought about leaving New York City. And then it was really in 2016 where I was like, oh, I'm not living here forever. Like, my end game isn't New York. Like, it very much is not New York. And I still stayed another 3 years, even when I knew that it wasn't my end game, right? So like again, part of that's my FI, part of that's there's a little bit of the fear of the gathering, the new, for sure. But like, there was so much, like, again, for 3 years, I was like, no, I committed to New York. I have to make this work. I'm making it fucking work because that was the plan. Where boy, do I wish I had the ability to double observe a little bit better and go, you know what? I don't think this is working out for me. Let me leave New York for a while. I can always come back to New York if that serves me or serves the relationship I'm in or serves us or fucking whatever, right? And on the EP side, I see people come to New York or come to LA or do whatever, and they'll try it. They'll be here for like 3 months, realize they never bothered to try to get a job, and they're like, oh fuck, I guess I have to go somewhere else. I guess I'm gonna go to this other city and stay with this other friend for a while because maybe adventure is over there. And you're like, no, you can you stick to something for a little bit? Again, don't worry about gathering for the sake of gathering. Don't worry about sticking to the plan just for the sake of sticking to the plan. See what serves you. Be honest about what serves you and communicate that to yourself, to the people around you, the people it affects, right? Play the focus on the tribe and not worry about going all in on one observation, whether it's organizing or gathering. Don't worry about that so much and trust that, like, you know, be in the thing for as long as it makes sense to be in the thing. And when it stops making sense to be in the thing, you're allowed to leave, right? Again, this is sort of, that's the IJ message of how to double observe better. But on the EP side, be like, wait, why are you leaving? This is going well. Like, you're happy. Stay with the thing that you like. Don't fucking run off because you think it could be better somewhere else. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? So all this is to say, I do actually want to, call out the comment here that says, if you can double decide who needs double observing anyway, I kind of agree. I think that you can, in terms of like which one is easier to have, I actually think double deciding is way easier to have. Way easier to have 60% of the time. Because double observing doesn't really feel, you're just like, I don't know, I'm kind of doing the thing, right? Double deciding is like, whoa, you're a wizard, man. You can just like forgive people and it's not a big deal because you just assume people grow. Whoa. Yeah, no, that's right. But people think that that's very impressive, right? Their ability to do that. But there are lots of instances when double deciding can get you into a lot of trouble. Because when you're, talking about relationships or relationships with your parents, how about, right? Like, or your siblings or whatever. If you're in like a really bad toxic situation, double deciding does not serve you. It's actually really useful and important and helpful to be like, you know what? Fuck you, dude. Never again. I don't let anybody treat me like that. I don't care if you are whoever the fuck you're related to me. You do not get to be in my life. Fuck you. Right? That's just not a thing, right? And that's really hard for a double decider to do. At least to like stick to that. But sometimes it's very helpful. But yeah, again, this is a video about, why you need to learn how to double observe. So it's for that other 40%, man. That other 40% counts. It does. I think that the issues where double observing matters. I think they are less frequent, but I think they're more important. Let me put it that way. You're going to find yourself double deciding your way through life, being able to double decide is going to be extraordinarily helpful. For sure, for sure, for sure. But the times when double observing matters, it matters a fucking lot. And I say this, I'll end on this. So I'm in the process of moving. Just the it's time to leave my apartment. I don't know how else to put it. I was planning on being here for a good 2 to 3 years. But because of the pandemic, I ended up spending every waking moment in my apartment. And I'm like, I've learned everything I can learn from living here. Like, I just have. This apartment, staying in this apartment is me marking time. Like, it's not actually helping any, like, I'm not moving forward. Right? So that's but it's hard for me as an IJ because I'm like, no, you said you were going to live here for 2 to 3 years, but you're leaving after a year and a half. Like, what? That's what my IJ brain is saying. But my double observing my way through it, I'm like, no, it's just time to leave. And then it's like, but what about breaking okay, so I fucking break the lease. Okay. I'm saving money breaking this lease because I'm not sinking another, whatever. Yeah, it's January. So I'm not sinking another 7 months of rent into a place that doesn't serve me. I'd rather sink 1 month of rent, 1 month of lease breaking rent into the place that doesn't serve me, and then go to a place that does serve me. And that way I can move forward in life and make more money, and I'll make it up on the back end. Yeah, it's fine. It's just time. It's just time. It's just time. It's just time to leave. Right. And so that's been like a really interesting and important experience for me. Sort of, I remember leaving New York and moving to LA was very much a single observer. It was very much a single observer process. It was like, this is a new scary place, and I'm living in a new city. And how does everything work? And where am I going to go for? Again, it was very thing oriented. And and here, listen, the places I'm looking, you better believe that I scouted. Where's the Bristol Farms? Where's the Ralph's? Where's the like is there a Starbucks nearby? Like the sort of things that I know that I do out and about, on a regular basis. Of course, I looked into that. But the impetus for this decision is just like, yeah, no, I'm done here. I'm sure there's another place that's perfectly lovely that will meet my needs better, that has all the things that I need, but where my FI will be happier. And prioritizing the decision made by my DI, or it could be the DE, if I were an IP and doing the, EJ thing, whatever. Like, that's the impetus. And then the stuff will just work itself out. Again, because there were places I looked and I was like, boy, I really want to live, in this neighborhood. There is fucking nothing. Or like, I don't like the apartments in this area. There's not a Ralph's nearby. There's not, like, living here would be logistic. Okay, you know what? Whatever. I guess I'll just look in a different neighborhood. It's fine. We're all fine. I promise you're fine. All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you for hanging out with me and going on that, journey with me of learning how to not go all in on my lead observer function. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.